Well, good Friday, everybody. As we take a look at the weather here for Bridgewater and how our weekend is shaping up, we do have another storm system that's going to be making its way towards the northeast. This one, however, is going to be coming at us in a few pieces here and may not be quite as strong as the previous storms, but it may make for a wet Saturday afternoon. Let's take a look at where we are right now on radar, and you can see the bulk of this precipitation is out ahead of the main system right now. We have the low back here, and that's going to be moving in towards Tennessee and Kentucky tonight. But a lot of this initial rainfall is going to be moving out ahead of the low and moving just to the south of New England. We're going to have to wait for some more rainfall to develop here late tonight. That'll be tracking over most of Bridgewater and the surrounding communities again on Saturday afternoon. So it's going to come in waves. So we'll have a little bit of rain first thing Saturday morning, and then a little bit of a lull, and then some heavier rain moving in during the afternoon. And Futurecast shows that pretty well here. As you can see, the general trend for the center of the low to move just to the south of Bridgewater. So mainly southern New England being affected by this system. That's a point to bring up if you are heading north to ski country this weekend. I think a lot of this rain is going to miss you, and it's actually going to be some colder air just to our north and west. So for skiing, I think conditions will be okay for the balance of the weekend. Let's look at temperatures across the country. That's where it gets kind of interesting right now. One thing you will notice is that there's not a whole lot of cold air really across the country. You can see Minneapolis right now, 39. And I did check International Falls coming in this hour at 31 degrees. It's barely freezing in International Falls, one of the coldest areas of the country. Typically in January, you can see temperatures right around 0 or even slightly below. So for them to be right around the 32-degree mark, that gives you a hint. Look at Great Falls right now up in Montana, 48 degrees. It's 50 in Seattle, and of course 46 in Boston, 44 in Chicago. So there's really not a lot of cold air, and that's unfortunate because as you see the low track, well, I should say it's unfortunate if you're a snow lover, because this low track we have for this weekend storm, in a typical January pattern, this would be an ideal track for a snowstorm here in the Northeast, but there's just not any cold air to tap into. Interestingly, as we look at the national map for tomorrow, we can see this first low is going to be moving south of New England. We also see some stronger storms moving into the west coast. And in fact, as we look at the Pacific Ocean right now, believe it or not, we do have a system out there that could potentially become a tropical system by later on this weekend. And the Weather Service and the National Hurricane Center has put out a 30% chance for this system right here to become potentially a tropical or extratropical system. So here we are in the first week of January talking about the tropics. And in fact, a lot of this moisture will be heading in towards the Baja of California and into the southwestern part of the country by later this weekend and first thing next week. And that makes it interesting here because we look at the upper levels of the atmosphere, we can see that some of that moisture will end up getting dragged across the country. Now, we show you this map every now and then. You kind of look at this thing, well, what is going on here? Well, this is what's actually happening up about 500 millibars into the atmosphere. So this is where the jet stream is. And we're going to run it through here the first time, then we'll run it through a second time. We'll kind of show you the features. But one thing that stands out is you see a lot of orange there. You don't see a ton of blue. And that's an indication there's actually not a lot of cold air anywhere in the country right now. But right here, this screen, we want to show you, this is interesting. This is actually the map after this. So we'll back up a little bit here and maybe go through this cycle again, and we'll kind of show you what's going on across the lower 48 because it is interesting. So as we back up here, and so here's the map. This is actually later on tomorrow, and you can see again, there's that low that we talked about that's going to be moving south of New England. But again, as you notice, there's really no cold air anywhere near. There's a little bit right under the low. It is a cool rainfall that we'll have, probably temperatures in the 40s. But north of this low, not a lot of cold air. So as we move this on through here, here is a lot of the energy that's starting to move into the Pacific, some of that potentially subtropical. And you can see on the jet stream here, as we go into early next week, we do have a trough that's starting to build down from the west. That's somewhat in response to what you've been hearing in the media, I'm sure, that talk of the polar vortex. It just means we have some warming going on in the upper levels of the atmosphere. And what's happening is it's deflecting some of the cold air that's up in Canada. Some of that's going to start to move into the lower 48. And you'll notice this beginning the middle of next week. So as we kind of run this through here, we want to show you here, this is coming up Monday into Tuesday. So we pause this right here, and this is some of the weather that we'll have, which is another system that's coming through. It's going to approach here Monday night, and as it does that, there is the chance that some of this precipitation will start out as snowfall, even here in southern New England, but it's going to go to rain after that. Once this front moves through, as we kind of advance here, you're going to see a little bit of a system starting to develop right about here. So this is just south of it. This is going to be an upper level feature, but there's a chance that this could redevelop a little bit just off the coastline. This would be Tuesday night into Wednesday. This is after the first system goes through. If this were to happen, there's potential that we could see a little bit of snowfall here, maybe on Wednesday and maybe even towards the coastline. I realize we're grabbing at straws here for you snow lovers out there. We're trying, but you can see even once this system moves through, there's not a lot of cold air locking in. There's just no blocking high up here. There's just nothing going on to our north and east. So systems are just moving along here, and this brings us towards Martin Luther King weekend, where we have another trough coming through, warm air to fall. You get the idea. So essentially, the pattern is going to be staying pretty much as it's been here over the last week or two. Does it mean winter's over? Not exactly. We still have about 2 months to go through here at least, where we have the potential for some wintry weather. So we'll keep an eye on as we go through. How about tonight? Well, one thing we want to watch here is the chance for some cooler air to be getting trapped into parts of interior southern New England. So Bridgewater is actually included in that, as you see a low down to about 31 degrees, which is interesting because we will have some of that moisture coming in here overnight. So there's an outside chance of a little bit of a mixing going on with that rain first thing tomorrow morning. But you can already see here the Cape well into the 30s, Boston into the mid-30s. So warmer air will be invading in from the ocean as we go into tomorrow. So tomorrow, it's kind of a wet, kind of a damp day. We'll have temperatures generally in the mid-40s here. It's just going to feel kind of raw. We'll have bouts of rain, so we'll probably have some downpours early. Then we may have a little bit of a lull, and then some heavier rain coming in later on tomorrow afternoon into the evening. Should be out of here by about 8 or 9 o'clock. Then as we plan ahead for the rest of the weekend, Sunday, definitely the pick day, will have some sunshine. It will be on the breezy side, probably very similar to New Year's Day, actually, with temperatures back in the mid-40s. Monday will start to cloud up. It'll be kind of a cold day. We'll get back down to the 30s. That'll set us up for some snowflakes in here again. Monday night could even be a minor accumulation here before everything changes to rain Tuesday morning, and then probably wraps up around midday, early afternoon Tuesday. But again, look at those highs, 45 on Tuesday. And Wednesday, I would say, is a little bit of a question mark right now. We've got 40 and mostly cloudy skies, but don't be surprised to see some snow showers here at the very least by Wednesday afternoon. We will keep an eye on it and update you early next week. Enjoy your weekend, everybody.